Have you ever wondered, what does Congress actually do? You do a quick Google search. What is going on here? Okay, current Congress search. Okay, 1 through 100 of 23,000? Are you kidding? It just keeps going. So how could anyone possibly read all of this and have any idea what any of it is? Design the facility of the United States Postal Service located at. So that's where this comes in. I know it doesn't look like much now, but it might be able to look like this someday. But maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. So when I saw this competition, I started brainstorming with the good old Chat GPT, and it had some good ideas, but I was looking for something that I thought no one else would really consider. And then it hit me. What if we could get real-time AI summaries about these kinds of bills that were going on in Congress before they became law? How would that change the political landscape? And then I was like, maybe we should just go find out. So I set to work learning how to get bills from the Congress.gov API. And after a lot of trial and error, compiled this data set with a ton of bills and metadata. And then I got to work trying to figure out an interesting way to use Gemini's long context to do interesting things with all the bills at one time. I had many plans, but I quickly realized that even with a 2 million token context window, there still was way too much text to do anything with. And so we still needed a way to narrow down what you were looking for. So I came up with these 5 features to focus on and try and limit the scope of the notebook. And a fellow developer gave me the idea of making a keyword table. And that's what this little guy is right here. I know it looks really easy, but this is taking the cache of all of the text, which is about 200,000 tokens. And that's just the small version. And going through and it's extracting the most relevant keyword from each one of these bills, and then it's returning it in structured output JSON format. And once you have that, you can make a little data frame, and then you can just make a little frequency table, the top 5 keywords, and here's where they appear inside of all these bills. Once we got that part, I was like, that's pretty cool. So now we can build a little bar chart. So then I was like, I wonder how all of these things relate to each other. And then I made the convolution neural network make a neural network-like graph of all the different keywords and their bills that they're related to. Here's a better image. And I just thought that this was really cool to just take a look at and see all the connections. And so we have some statistics, number of keywords, bills, connections. And then the cool part is okay, now just summarize everything in Congress. But that was a little bit too much. So I decided, let's talk about keywords. So here we go. So here you take disaster from the keyword table that we made and summarize the bills related to that. And there we go. So and to ensure accuracy, because contextual extrapolation errors are still ever present in AI models, aka hallucinations, I put in this little snippet so that you could pick one of these bill numbers and find it, and you can just get the original data from the raw text. And it's either, if it has a summary, it'll show the summary, but if it doesn't have a summary, it'll just return the first 200 words of the bill, and you'll usually get a little idea of what this is. This was a cool idea. I wanted to take a couple of bills and what are the key differences, or are there any contradictions between these bills? And so it goes through and it looks at all the raw text of the entire bill, and it's hey, this bill does this. Inconsistent definitions of terminology, opposing or incompatible goals. I just think that's pretty cool. You can just compare 2 bills side by side and get a better understanding of what each one is talking about. I wanted to kind of know, does caching really make that big of a difference? Spoiler alert, yes. Yes, it does. That's my submission for an interesting way to use Gemini's long context windows, as well as some extra features like context caching and structured output. It may not necessarily be the coolest thing in the world, but I feel this could go a long way in becoming something hey, what if we could just get some contradiction analysis in a little web app? The most relevant keywords that came up during the last congressional hearing or whatever. So yeah, go check out the Kaggle notebook. Feel free to leave any comments here on YouTube or in the comment section, the very lonely comment section of the notebook itself. Either way works, and thanks for watching.